The New Green Frontier Cannabis Conference presented by Small Cap Power. We're talking to Roger Dent, the CEO and Director of Quinsam Capital Corporation, which is listed on the CSE. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So introduce us to your company. What do you do and what kind of financial support do you provide?
Sure. Well, Quinsam is a publicly traded company. We trade on the CSE ourselves. We have about $50 million that we are currently investing in the cannabis space. We invest in Canada, the United States, and internationally. In fact, at this stage, most of our investments are outside of Canada. So what we're trying to do for our investors is provide them with a well-selected, diversified pool of pre-public investments, and some public investments as well, and allow them to take advantage of the increases in value that can be seen when companies in the cannabis space go public. So, what we're trying to do is get, the most interesting ones of these pre-public opportunities that we see. We try to get into them whenever we can in an attractive investment structure. Convertible debentures, can be units of common stock with warrant coverage as well. In some cases, we have some other specialty structures. But the point basically is to try to keep the downside risk managed and diversified, and allow the investors to benefit from that bump in value that can be seen when cannabis companies go public.
So these pre-public companies, is there a common theme among these companies that you've picked? What has stood out in them?
Well, I mean, obviously, they're all in the cannabis space that we're investing into this stage. We are looking for very attractive value when we invest, and we're also looking for companies that we think have the potential to be attractive public vehicles. So we're looking at them with our sort of public analysis hat on, trying to determine whether these companies will be attractive to institutional and retail investors when they're public, and trying to find companies that will therefore get that interesting bump in valuation on the go public transaction.
In terms of the expertise that you provide, how are you differentiated from the other financial players?
Well, I've been doing Canadian small cap investing for 30 years, and have done it at Quinsam, both in cannabis and in the past in general small caps for 5 years. I was a fund manager for 10 and a research analyst and investment banker for a significant period before that. So I think we bring a very deep and detailed understanding of the Canadian small cap marketplace, and basically we think we are in the best position to judge which of these companies coming through the system are the most attractive to invest in.
Post-marijuana legalization, there has been a cool-off in share prices of cannabis companies. How should investors play the market today, and where do you see equities going forward in the cannabis space?
Well, I think it is difficult to make predictions about how the overall space is going to perform. We have made the decision to avoid many of the traditional Canadian companies. So we never owned the likes of Canopy and Aurora, Green Organic Dutchman, etc., the very large cap mainstream players that most retail investors are familiar with. More recently, in July, August, September, we became concerned that some of the valuations on the Canadian companies were getting excessive, and the ones that we did have, in many cases, we chose to exit. So, at this stage, we're focused mostly on international opportunities. We like the United States market. We think the valuations are much more interesting than Canada. We think there's some very interesting upside there over the next number of years as this industry is built out, and we think as regulation there continues to become more favorable for cannabis companies.
Roger, thank you for your insights. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.